Last Friday night, I was just scrolling through random videos on YouTube, killing time. It was around 11 p.m., and since the weekend had officially started, I was in full relaxation mode. I live alone in an apartment, have a steady 9-to-5 job, and make a decent living. I'm single, and honestly, life felt pretty good. Never in a million years did I think a simple YouTube video could turn my quiet little world upside down. But before I get into all that, there's someone you need to know about: Jocelyn. Jocelyn is dead. At least, that's what we've all believed for years. She was a high school friend of mine, though I guess you could say friend was a term not many would have used for her back then. Jocelyn was different. It always seemed like a cloud of sadness followed her, though whether it was because of the hell she went through at home or just how life shaped her, I couldn't say. She didn't come from much. Her dad was a heroin addict, completely out of the picture, and her mom worked herself to the bone trying to give Jocelyn the kind of life she'd never had herself. But Jocelyn never smiled. Ever. It was like she'd forgotten how. People bullied her relentlessly. A lot of the time, they treated her like she wasn't even a real person, just some punching bag for their cruelty. To make things worse, a few monsters in our school took things even further. They assaulted her in ways too horrible to say aloud. And Jocelyn? She never spoke up about it. Never told anyone. Most people didn't see her as a friend, they saw her as someone to pity, and that's all. But me? I felt something different around her. Talking to her wasn't awkward or forced, it felt easy, natural, like there was a quiet understanding between us. My friends didn't get it. They'd laugh at me for hanging around her, saying I was wasting my time. I didn't care. Toward the end of high school, though, things took a dark turn. Jocelyn became more withdrawn. It was like she was carrying this unbearable weight, and I could see it crushing her. A month before finals, everything boiled over. The harassment, the abuse, it became too much. One day, she bolted out of the classroom in the middle of a lesson, tears streaming down her face. The whole class. They just laughed. Even the teacher didn't bother to stop her. She ran straight to the nurse's office, grabbed a blade, and tried to end it all. I wasn't in the room when it happened, I was in another class at the time. But somehow, I found her just in time. I still don't know what pushed me to go to her right then, but I did. If I'd been even a minute late, I might have lost her. She didn't come out unscathed, though. The blade left scars on her right index and middle fingers, marks she'd carry for the rest of her life. But that wasn't the worst of it. A week after finals, Jocelyn vanished. Just disappeared. One day she was there, and the next, it was like she'd been erased from the world. The police launched a full-scale search, with volunteers combing through every inch of the area. Nothing. No leads, no sightings, no clue as to where she'd gone. People started coming up with their own theories. Most folks thought she'd just run away, leaving her struggling mom to fend for herself. They figured she'd had enough of her life and took off. But her mom didn't believe that, and neither did I. I knew Jocelyn better than anyone. Sure, she'd had her moments when she wanted to give up, but those were tied to the abuse she'd suffered, not her home life. She loved her mom. She wouldn't have just left without a trace. And besides, who runs away without taking anything? Her clothes, her money, everything was left untouched in her room, exactly as it had been. The cops looked into every angle they could think of, but in the end, they found nothing. That was over a decade ago. Jocelyn became a ghost of a memory, just a face frozen in old school photos, standing next to me like she was still part of my world. Sometimes, out of nowhere, a random memory of her would crash into my mind, uninvited and unrelated to anything happening around me. For the most part, though, she stayed buried in the past, where I thought she'd always remain. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. I was staring at Jocelyn, all grown up but frail, on a random YouTube channel. My brain connected the dots in an instant, and the realization sent a wave of shock through me. My jaw literally dropped, like something out of a cartoon. For a solid minute, I just sat there frozen, staring at the thumbnail. The video was called How to Make Homemade Slime, No Borax, and it was just 6 minutes and 31 seconds long. You know, one of those generic DIY videos everyone stumbles across at some point. I clicked on it out of curiosity. The channel's name was A9842M, and it had only 3 videos, no subscribers, and barely 20 or 30 views in total. When the video started, there she was, Jocelyn. She was smiling, but it wasn't real. It was one of those forced, robotic grins that looked like someone had told her to smile or else. She walked through the steps of making slime, but the instructions were nothing groundbreaking, stuff anyone who's ever tried a DIY project would already know. It wasn't what she was doing that got to me, though. It was how she was doing it, every move and expression feeling off, like a marionette being controlled by invisible strings. The longer I watched, the more convinced I became that it really was her. And then the camera zoomed in on her hands. That's when I saw it, the scar. It was faint but unmistakable, running across her right index and middle fingers. My heart started pounding in my chest. That scar was hers, no question about it. No one else could have the exact same mark. It had to be her. It was her. Jocelyn, the girl everyone believed was dead and gone. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Desperate for answers, I checked out the other 2 videos on the channel. The second one was called How to Make Homemade Glue, and it was about 7 minutes long. This one was even worse. Jocelyn's eyes were bloodshot, like she hadn't slept in days, or like she was drugged. And at one point, I swear, I heard muffled screams in the background. It was faint, but it was there, and it made my stomach turn. The third video wasn't even about Jocelyn. It was just a close-up of a girl's hand holding a chunk of raw meat, probably beef. I compared the hand to Jocelyn's from the previous videos, and it clearly wasn't hers. That made it even more unsettling. I didn't sleep at all that night. I kept asking myself what I should do. Should I call the police? Was I overthinking this? My gut told me something was horribly wrong, but I didn't know where to start. I ended up subscribing to the channel, and the next day, I checked YouTube every 40 minutes like some kind of obsessed lunatic. Then Sunday came, and that's when things got truly terrifying. I was rewatching the 3 videos when the channel went live. My heart stopped as I clicked on it. What I saw made my blood run cold. It was my apartment. Someone was recording it from outside, focusing on my building. The camera zoomed in on a specific window, my bedroom window. The green curtain I had hung there was unmistakable. I felt like I was going to throw up. Then, just like that, the screen went black, and the live stream ended. I was shaking. I didn't dare leave my apartment. I locked every door and window, barricaded myself in my bedroom, and sat there clutching my laptop. When I checked the channel again, every single video had been deleted. But I'd already saved copies of the videos featuring Jocelyn. They're still sitting on my phone, but now I'm too scared to even look at them. Whatever's going on, it's not normal. It feels like Jocelyn is trapped in something sinister, something that's got control over her, and now they know I've seen too much. There's no way that live stream was a coincidence. It felt like a warning, like they were telling me to back off even though all I did was watch the videos. Now it's like someone's always watching me. I don't know what to do. Should I go to the police?